We're going to get started. Give me a minute. So thank you all so much for coming today. You'll hear just a little bit about our guest speaker in a minute, but this seminar this morning is sponsored by our Creation Care Climate Justice Task Force. As you are all well aware, we are in an 8-month process of considering whether or not the United Church of Gainesville seeks to be a Creation Care Climate Justice congregation. And I'm just going to update you to where we are on our process and tell you about some of the specific goals that we set out at the beginning of the year and where we stand with those. So we vowed that we would offer quarterly seminars on creation justice. Well, the seminar committee is also supporting us. We're now offering them monthly. We're going to have a monthly mention of creation care issues in worship. I hope you noticed that today. But that also has taken place on September 25th, October 16th, congregational meeting, and of course, Church on the Prairie. We will be having an energy audit done of the church coming up. As you might have heard, generous donors have purchased new solar panels for the church. That is an important piece. We're going to have 2 book study groups. We've already had 1. We have 2 more coming up in the winter. One is called The Climate War, and the second one is called Scale and Speed. And coming up in the spring, we will have one on gardening and a book called Nature's Best Hope. And of course, a million other things. You might recall we had an opportunity for you to share your thoughts on the guiding questions that we're putting out every other month on a chalk talk style where you could write your thoughts on a table on your way into worship. Some of the comments from our first questions of focus, which was, how can our congregation intentionally reflect upon God in relation to caring for creation? Some of the comments that came from that were, what do we mean by creation? I'm going to ride my bike to worship. We should incorporate more Native American theology into our worship, and of course, Church on the Prairie. But then all of our boards and committees have also considered how they will begin to incorporate creation care and climate justice into the work that they do. And they all have a long list of great offerings, which I'm not going to go into because you don't want to hear me, you want to hear Ellen. Just so you know, currently, our guiding questions are, how can our congregation integrate care for creation into the life and the work of our ministry teams, our committees, and our governing council? And we are all in the process of coming up with specific, measurable ways in which we can do that. Coming up in January, our question of focus will be, with a particular attention to socioeconomic factors such as race, class, and global inequality, how can our congregation research and inform ourselves about environmental justice issues at the local, state, national, and global levels? So that will be coming up, and it just so happens to coincide with our worship theme, Justice January, taking flight. So speaking of justice, we have an opportunity for you if you would like to choose to participate. Currently, our city offers rebates for any new construction if they put in natural gas. We are suggesting, and if you would like to, we have a template letter that you could follow, that you write to our city commission and recommend that they do away with those rebates. As you know, natural gas is a non-renewable resource. And so offering incentives, financial incentives, we think is causing more harm than good. So template letter outside. Members of the Creation Care Climate Justice Task Force are here. You guys want to raise your hands? And now I'm going to turn it over to Malcolm, who will introduce our speaker. Thank you all for being here.
Well, thank you, and welcome to the talk today by Ellen Siegel. I met her at the Climate Reality Project, and she's going all over doing these kind of talks. She retired after over 3 decades in finance in order to pursue her passion for environmental education. She's been a National Park Service ranger, leading visitors to places like the Everglades and looking at alligator holes. And she's made these a lot of these talks several times here, maybe 10, 15 times, maybe more than that. And finally, the last thing I'd like to say is that you should go to see her website, woodstorkwisdom.com. And you see what the Woodstorks have to do with this as well. So here she comes, Ellen Siegel.
Thank you all. So I'm impressed with how many people are coming out on a crummy day. So thank you. And we're doing something I have never done before, which is sharing my screen through Tristan. So Tristan, can you just start slideshow?
Ellen?
Yeah.
Is there a microphone?
No. I can speak really loudly because I spent 4 months as a first grade teacher in the inner city. So I want to welcome you. This program is titled 80 Ways to Solve the Climate Problem Around the World. This is a global look at what is possible, what we have technology and money to do. All we have to do is do it. So it's my hope that so many of you, and I would love a head count, David. I need to introduce David Ballard, who is going to help with the folks on Zoom. And also this is very interactive. So I'm going to be having you raise your hands a few times and he's going to do counts. You'll see what I'm talking about. This will be fun, engaging, and I think you will take some actions away that you can do, like the letter that Pastor Andy told you about. That is really important. We could just go off on tangents, but let me stick to what I'm doing. So the program we're going to talk about next slide. Yeah. Can you do it as presenter view? Yeah. You need to unhook me. No. All right. Sorry, folks. Yeah, it's life and technology. Yeah. There we go. Thank you.
Yes, but please just tell me next slide.
Okay, right. Oh, I'm not to click. Right. Okay. Today, I'm introducing you to an interactive computer simulation tool called En-ROADS. It was developed by a group called Climate Interactive, which is a leading not-for-profit climate and energy think tank in partnership with the MIT, the Sloan Sustainability Initiative. Next slide, please. I still click it on mine. Okay. When this is over, Tristan, you'll have to show me the magic of what we're doing here. This is the first time I've had twin computers. Okay. Here's what we're going to do today. It's participatory. I'm going to ask you to participate in the conversation. And a spoiler alert, if nobody volunteers to answer anything, I'm just going to make eye contact with somebody and call on you. So, okay. We have a goal today. In the next 25 minutes, because we're going to try and bring the expected global temperature down from 3.6 degrees centigrade, 6.5 degrees Fahrenheit, down to the IPCC Paris Agreement goal of 2 degrees centigrade. If we can get to 1.5 degrees centigrade, even better. I will be flipping back and forth between centigrade and Fahrenheit. I'm going to try and emphasize Fahrenheit, but forgive me if I don't. The idea is the world is getting hotter. So we're going to discuss solutions. We're going to explore the simulator so you see what can be done, that we have tools to do. And we're going to look at, as we can, where are the equity and justice impacts of each decision that we make. Okay. This is working. Okay. So this is our first interactive. And for folks in the Zoom room, how many have we got? Well, I want the Zoom roomers to play too. We've got 13. Excellent. Okay, David, can you see the participants well enough? Yes. Okay, great. This is a summary of the things that are available to do right now. I want you to read through the list. And Zoom roomers, I want you to read through the list too, but I want you to put 2 items that you think, if everybody on the planet did it, would really help cool the planet. So if you think planting trees, which is called reforestation or afforestation, would be the way to solve this problem, I want you to put that in the chat, Zoom roomers. So you guys, I'm going to read each one and you get to vote for 2. Okay, got it? Yeah. Okay. I'm not a TV set. Nod your heads. Yeah, okay, thank you. All right. How many people think planting trees is the best thing if everyone did? Raise your hands and David's going to count and keep a tally. Okay, got it, David? You get to vote for 2. Only 2, right. Okay, thank you. How many people think by building more nuclear plants, which are basically carbon neutral once they're built, and creating new carbon dioxide removal machines is the way to go? Raise your hands. And the Zoom roomers, you do the same or put it in chat, okay?
Could you say more about
I cannot because you've given me 30 minutes. We started late, thank you. Yeah, okay. I'm combining things. How many people think if we lobbied our governments for a fee on coal, oil, and gas burning? Raise your hands. Okay, keep them up. Zoomers, you put in the chat which 2 you want. Because we're going to use your results as we go in the simulation. Okay, how many people think buying electric vehicles and solar panels is the way to go? That we use alternative sources of renewable energy, okay? And Zoomers, I want you to put your comments in your chat, okay? How many people think the best thing you can do is tell family and friends why action is important to you right now? Okay. How many people think we should work to make homes and businesses more energy efficient? And I noticed that this church is already active with Community Weatherization Coalition. So that's fabulous. Okay. How many people think the thing, if everybody on the planet did, if we buy less stuff and eat less beef, that's a solution? And how many people think we should ban fracking? That means taking natural gas out of the earth. Okay, great. Okay, David, do you need a minute to tally? Take it. Okay, go ahead and take your time. I'm going to build a very short, okay, next slide. A very short lesson so that we have a common awareness of what we're talking about. When we're talking about climate change, it's very, very simple science. So this is a chart of 800,000 years ago. That's interesting. It doesn't show on your screen. Isn't that funny? It's something about the latest thing. Okay, well, whatever. I'll do it in front. 800,000 years ago, more or less the present. Okay, you'll notice where we say that climate change, some people say climate change is natural. It is. Over 100,000 year periods. Look at the peaks. They're about every 100,000 years. Look at the valleys, about every 100,000 years. It's really cold when we get down here, and it's really hot when we get up there. Notice the 1950 level, which was about when I was born. That was about 310 parts per million. We're talking about little tiny pieces in a box of air. We had 1 million pieces of air. Less than 0.4% are going to be carbon dioxide. So never in the last 800,000 years has the carbon dioxide level exceeded the 300 mark. We are now, as of July, at 421 parts per million. At 500 parts per million, life on the planet as we know it is catastrophically changed. We've got to stop it and get it down. So that's what we need to do. Next slide, please. Okay. So I wanted to let you know that when carbon dioxide goes up, which now you have to shift colors because carbon dioxide in this particular one is blue. Okay, so carbon dioxide, same thing we just saw. Here's the temperature. Do you notice how they move in lockstep? Okay, that's what's happening. Do you see something funky here? Malcolm, you know the answer because you said, oh, I'm going to show the hockey stick. So this is the stick and this is the blade, okay? So what do you notice about temperature and carbon dioxide? Okay, Jeff, what do you notice?
That they coincide.
They move in lockstep. What else do you notice? Look right here, guys. It doesn't seem to be right now. So what's happening is all the extra heat that this is going to create is going into our land, a little bit of it, and into our oceans. And that's what's causing all the problems. hot oceans make sea level rise, they make hurricanes, they make tornadoes, it makes rain bombs. Oddly enough, it also makes droughts. But as I said, I offered Pastor Andy, 4 classes on science in a little more detail. But I wanted you to have the basic, that carbon dioxide makes things hotter and heat makes things what we're seeing now. And depending who you ask and where on the planet you are looking, we have, since the Industrial Revolution, we are now at either 1.1, in some places 1.7 degrees centigrade, with just double that, like 3 degrees Fahrenheit hotter than we were in 1750. We are definitely getting hotter. Okay, next slide. So what's the problem? Our carbon bathtub is emissions coming in. That's the faucet filling the tub. And in the tub, we have the carbon dioxide that's currently in the atmosphere. And then we have a drain. And you'll notice that what's coming in is bigger than what's going out. And it doesn't matter who's been in office since 1988 when James Hansen from NASA went to Jimmy Carter and said, we got a problem. Doesn't matter who's in administration, our parts per million keep going up. Our temperature keeps going up. The way to do this is turn the spigot off. And the way to do that is kill fossil fuels ASAP right now and figure out how to get the carbon dioxide out of the air. And we're going to look at ways to do that as we go on. Super. All right, now I just want to anchor you to one other thing. Okay. Notice that up here, I use the centigrade, but you can keep your eye on the 6.5 degrees Fahrenheit. When I get into the simulation, it'll flip because we think in Fahrenheit. I just want to point out, you want to keep your eye because everything you read in the paper is about centigrade. Notice it's about double. So the top line was the climate goals of 2 degrees centigrade heating, which we're practically at, depending who you ask and where you measure, and at 1.5. Where we are in 2020 is just approaching the 1.5. Business as usual is the other phrase you will hear, and business as usual has us going up. If we don't stop and sequester carbon, we will keep getting hotter. This is just by end of century. We don't want to look 200 years out. First of all, our brains won't go that far. We won't be alive. But second of all, you want to fix it now. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm now going to, let me see how we do this, Tristan. I want to go to the internet now. Can we do that? Can you do something with me? Okay. Yeah. Go for it. Okay. But I need the internet. You can look what I've got on my screen. Oh, it's getting there. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Tristan. Tristan, you are a blessing. Thank you. All right. Yeah. If you need to leave, it's not coming up. That's absolutely fine. Thank you. Thank you so much, Andy. Okay. But it's not, do I need to put the HDMI back in? Oh, probably. Probably. Okay.
Where are you trying to go on the internet?
Trying to go to, if you do Climate Interactive or En-ROAD simulation. Yeah, close. Okay, there we go. Thanks for your patience, guys. David, you've got a tally. This is where we're going to use your poll results. We're going to plug in your choices along with the Zoomers. Thank you. I'm going to have to learn how to do that. And I'm going to reset everything. All right. Thank you for the breathing space because I'm rushing through this like a choo-choo train. Okay. All right. I want to point your eyes towards the little colored stack and point out what we're looking at. The bottom layer is coal. It's color-coded. The red is oil. Coal is used for energy generation and sometimes home heating kinds of things. And the oil is used for transportation mostly, or natural gas for energy. The blue is the gas. The green are renewables, which you see are increasing anyway, because right now it's cheaper to use solar and wind than it is to burn coal and gas. Oh, thank you. Okay. Am I supposed to hear anything out of this, or it's doing what it does? Okay, thanks. So you'll see that the use of energy continues to increase. It increases with people getting richer and using more energy, and it increases somewhat with population growth. If you've studied population growth at all, you know that the addition of people on the planet is not the biggest problem we have. Feeding them is a problem for sure, but the folks that are in the third world are not adding to this. This is a first world problem, and if you don't know that, you will learn it. So you see that we're heading for 6.4 degrees Fahrenheit. So David, could I please see the results? Thanks. I'm going to pick some, and we're going to do some changing. Thank you. Okay. Wow. Okay. Let's start with folks who said, let's plant some trees. So that's afforestation. Okay. Now, I don't know. Can you see what I'm doing? No? Yes. Oh, awesome, Tristan. Thanks. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to say we're going to plant a whole bunch of trees. Do you see what happened? We went down 0.1%. Okay, good. So we did that. Great. Okay. We had a lot of voting for homes and businesses more energy efficient. We had like a lot of people pick that. What do you think will happen to that 6.3 degrees when we add energy efficiency to transportation and to buildings and industry? We call it a WAG, a wild ass guess. Do you think it's gonna, sorry for the French in a church, but that is what we call it. So what do you think? How many tenths of a point or how many points do you think energy efficiency will bring us down? What do you think? I can't see your names, but Dorothy, you're looking very thoughtful. What do you, just take a wild ass guess. A little more, so maybe more than 0.1%. Oh, so it did better. 0.3% on that one. Okay, I can't read name tags. Okay, let's do buildings. Okay, Carol. To what do you think? Wow. Oh, interesting, huh? Look what's happening over on the use of the sources of energy. Remember, this is a global program. This is not just the United States. We have to do this as a globe. And we're not going to talk about the IPC COP27 today. We could do that another time. So notice that coal use is still being there, and oil is still there, and gas is still there, and renewables kind of went down a little bit. So why? Because when you get efficient, you don't need as much energy. So energy efficiency is actually a good thing. And this buildings and industry is your Community Weatherization Coalition program. A quick pitch for your group. Jeff and Belina Meter from CWC are going to run a February 12th workshop at Shir Shalom to train anyone who wants to come, but we're pitching it to the interfaith community to learn how to do home audits in their own home and then take it out in the community. So we'll definitely be marketing to you guys too. Okay. Get 2 for 1. Okay. So that's good. Wow. Wow. So maybe you want to have some of them come as group leaders or something. We'll talk, Carol. That's awesome. Okay. Thank you. All right. Let's see what else you said. We had a couple for nuclear and carbon dioxide removal. Well, those are two things. So let's see what happens if we punch up nuclear. Okay, who wants to take a wild ass guess on that? Yeah, 1 point. Go, Julie. 1/10. Why? You need to create it, and it takes a long time to get them up and running, and it takes a lot of energy to create them, right? So you'll notice that the emissions don't go down until like 2040, right? It uses resources, good, okay, but that also went with technology. Now, this carbon removal is another whole program about things that Bill Gates are pushing and people from Harvard are pushing, things like solar irradiation, throwing sulfur dioxide crystals up in our stratosphere, which will change weather patterns, and it will cool the planet. And the minute that they wear out, the planet will heat up immediately. So it's a really terrible idea. But if we do technological, let's just say we do moderate growth, that helps some. So maybe something will get invented, but we're still at 2.6 C. That's sort of our target, is at least 2 while we finish here. Okay, so let's go for, I'm not going to do all of them. Okay, we had people say ban fracking. Okay, that is methane. And the problem with fracking, besides water pollution and environmental justice degradation in the neighborhoods where they put their wells, we are going to reduce methane. We're going to stop it. Okay, let me replay what that did for us. Almost a whole point, 0.7%. So stopping fracking, stopping the gas rebates in Gainesville is something we can do here at home. And we need to do that. Absolutely need to. Yes, ma'am. Oh, right. I can't break it down. It's a good question. The question was, what would happen if we just did homes, no gas? This is a very big program based on lots of data. And so it doesn't break it down granular to that. It's a good question. Oh, cows. Cows. Oh, I heard house. I'm so sorry. Thank you. We're going to cover it. That gets covered under the electrification of buildings and industry. So let me go ahead and, okay. Okay. We're there. We're at 2. We're almost saving the world. Yes, cows produce a lot of methane, but the real biggest problem is the leaking from methane wells. All right, and let's do one more. Okay, a lot of you said, let's put a lobby for a fee on coal, oil, and gas. Let's see what happens if you join Citizens Climate Lobby. Some of you may already be a member, and you lobby our government, which can then lobby the planet for a very high price. And the high price is just about $234 a ton. And I did a paper in school. What I didn't mention was that I'm back at UF for climate science. I did a paper on school on carbon pricing and what it should be. And it should be $250 a ton to cover all of the social costs and damage of carbon. But the program is doing $234, so we'll leave it at that. And that brought us down to 1.6. All right, let's see. It depends, but the US is right now saying $50 a ton, but we're not really charging it. It's not sufficient. And the idea of the tax, it's a very good question. I use the word fee because at the US, the legislation that makes sense is that you're going to charge more at the well to take this crap out of the ground, because clearly we're not going cold turkey. We haven't done it. We're not doing it. COP27 didn't make it happen. So what do? You price it, and it's going to cost more for everybody, including poor people. So what do you do? In the US, the legislation is you take that money, all of it, you run it through our tax system, and you send a rebate to every single American man, woman, and child in the country. And proportionally, the way it's been designed is that folks of lower income will actually make a little money on the thing, more than their home energy or car gas would cost. So it's a really good question. Thanks. Okay. Well, we got it to 1.6. Let's see if we got anything I didn't do. Okay, buy less stuff. That's economic growth. Well, you know, it's interesting because we're doing something called neoliberal economics, and it says growth at all cost, and that's actually not very good. And look what happens if we go for a circular economy where we reduce, reuse, recycle everything. So there we go. We've hit 1.5. Yeah. Is there any country in the world that does that? To my knowledge, no. No. We should be doing that. Okay. Good job, guys. All right, so we go back to the slideshow. The rationale for GRU, they make money on electricity for Gainesville, but not the outlying area, but they can provide gas to the outlying area. So they have a revenue stream by selling gas around outside of Gainesville. They have an economic incentive to sell gas. They can expand their economic base. So that the rationale is it makes the money. But the rebates are not going necessarily to the homeowner. They're going to the developers building the new properties. It almost doesn't matter. The other issue, of course, is that University of Florida is replacing their very old steam plant to be powered by methane, by natural gas. And we do not appear to have a single bit of leverage in making that stop happening. But that's another story. That's another story. Yeah.
I understand that one of our electric plants here is fueled by gas. I mean, if you go direct from gas to gas versus gas to electric, that it costs more electric wise to produce the electric here. That was like what happened in 20 years ago in subdivision development, because they really like said that because of our gas plant here, producing electric, it's cheaper for the customer to go directly gas stove instead of turning.
Okay, thanks for the input. 20 years ago, we didn't really know what we know now about how awful this is. So, okay, home stretch. So, but we did it. Congratulations. You saved the world. you got us there. So, okay, so at this point in the program, people are generally feeling something, not thinking something, feeling something. So I'm going to ask you, folks in the Zoom room, I'd like you to post, how are you feeling right now in the chat, just a word or two. Here's the question. And folks here, why don't 3 or 4 of you close your eyes, take a deep breath, and check in with me. How are you feeling now that you've seen this? Julie.
Looking over the sanctuary, and I'm looking at the sanctuary doors, and every Sunday I notice that I come to church, the doors and the windows are open, and the air conditioning is running, and running, and running, and running. And our pledge dollars are hang out the windows, wear and tear on the equipment, for the environment. But every Sunday, everything's open and the air conditioning is on.
Okay, so if I put one word on what you just said, I would say frustration. Do I have it? Or maybe rage? Okay, so it's not a good feeling that you're sharing. That's fine. Thank you for sharing that. Here, how are you feeling? You just saved the world.
I feel like the 1.5 has been in my mind for years. And if we were in California, it would be really, people know what 1.5 means. And we don't know what 1.5 means here, what it takes to get to that. So I'm a little frustrated about how far behind Florida is than more progressive states.
Perfect. Another frustration, sir.
I guess I've been involved with environmental justice for the last 7 years. Farms is another conserve thing. Transportation, I think, is the biggest problem because we all use cars, and know, going to charge, I think it's $15 a day if you drive south of 59th Street.
Okay.
Daily toll for those that want to bring a car into the city, like London.
So if you were going to put a feeling word on this information as a result of seeing this, can you do that?
I was summing up as quick as I can. I couldn't read any of that stuff line. So one of the things I think is really needed is to get the car thing straightened out, because that's creating the highest amount of heat. And the engines are running clear, but our car produces, every gallon of gas produces what, 140,000 BTUs of heat.
Okay, so to put words in your mouth, I'm cutting you off a little in the interest of other folks having a chance. If I were to put a word in your mouth, I pick up, we could do it if we would. Other places are doing it. So I've got a hopeful message here. One more person. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Pushes a heavy load up the mountain.
Yeah.
Because of the education that we do, getting the word out, I get tired.
You get tired. Okay. Legitimate, David. Would you? Thank you. We've got panic, overwhelmed, angry, lacking focus. Okay, good. Good point. No, we didn't talk about agriculture except for afforestation, which I didn't do. I did. Yes, we kind of did with afforestation. Okay, frustrated but hopeful. Okay, so you guys, you have my heart because you get it. You get how hard this is, and yet you're here. So I salute you because, as Greta Thunberg says, the antidote to despair is action. Okay. Excuse me just a second. Yes.
There's another question on the chat. Would you like to have that?
Yes, thank you.
It says, how to prevent further destruction of the Amazon forest?
We may have the question for this. The question is how to prevent more destruction in the Amazon, which is already the whole southeastern part is pretty much turning from a carbon sucker to a carbon emitter. We may have a shot with Lula and more international pressure. And seriously, I never say you can't eat cows, but most of the destruction in the Amazon is chopping down tropical forests for soybean and corn to feed cattle. And unsustainable. All right, so let me do one more conversation with you. Next slide, Tristan. Oh, you got it. Okay. Anything surprise you, two people? You learn anything that surprised you? Yes, sir.
It's like efficiency.
Efficiency is absolutely fabulous. Should have that in mind. You could look at where things come from. I've stopped eating bananas, even though I love them, because they come in by airplane. So I'm substituting food that comes in at least from the US. And if I can, local. Look at what, so yeah, so you were a little surprised by how powerful efficiency was. Key insight? Yeah, Malcolm.
The financial system.
Yes, you were surprised at that.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
To me, that's the ultimate thing. Financial system encourages all this we're talking about.
Okay.
You're a financial person. You came to be financial. You quit or you did something else. That's required.
By the way, I'm going to, Malcolm is saying for the Zoom folks that it's the financial system that is broken and doesn't help. But here's what you can do. You need to have money. That's life. You can take your portfolios and go to your financial advisor, whoever it is, and say, I don't want any extractive industries. I don't want any concentrated animal feeding operations in my portfolio. And there are dozens and dozens now of mutual funds or individual stocks that will do that for you. So that's something you absolutely can do. You can vote with your wallet. You can vote with your investments. I did that. Okay. What are you going to take away to apply? 3 people. What are you taking away today?
This is a fabulous thing. Use this, what you're doing here.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, I'd be happy to work with anybody who wants to share this with any group. The other thing that's really cool is we do a UN simulation, which takes 3.5 hours. And we actually model what's going on at COP. And we have groups that have to negotiate because, as you could see, the whole loss and damages conversation is antithetical to the rich countries. So it's a very, very, very engaging thing. So that would be a good workshop one day for the church. Yes, ma'am. Yes, this is available free. It's open source. It's online. You go to Climate Interactive or En-ROADS Simulation. You can play with it at home. It's completely free. And for technical people, there's a 400-page reference guide available. I will admit I have not read the whole thing, maybe just the headings, but it's completely open source. Their goal is to take this around the world, and they don't have a lot of trainers yet like me. For the powerful that this is, they have less than 1,000 trainers. They call us ambassadors. So we could use more ambassadors, and woodstruckwisdom@att.net is my email. And you can also find me through anybody, probably Sally best. Okay, so some of the insights I'd like to leave you with what I hope you're walking away with is there's no silver bullet, just a lot of silver buckshot. If we're going to grow a garden, we need a lot of seeds. So that's one of the takeaways I hope you got. It's still possible, you saw that, based on current data, and the underlying science to the software is quite robust. It's possible for us as a planet to limit warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. You see the devastation we have where we are now. It will only get worse and more frequent. So we have to do that. All successful scenarios kill burning fossil fuels. Coal, oil, and gas have got to be phased out. And we really actually still have about 7 or 8 years to do it before we cross what are called tipping points, which is another program. A lot of our low leverage actions work, but not as well as killing fossil fuels. When we put the carbon fee on, that was the most dramatic. And when we shut down methane, that was the most dramatic. And many actions will increase the equity impact of energy production, will improve health for everybody. Air pollution, I was stunned by this, kills 40,000 Americans, and they're not all poor or BIPOC. A year in this country, 40,000 people die from asthma, COPD, and pollution caused by burning fossil fuels. Okay, so for the hopeful part of the program, shut your eyes for a minute and let's envision, let's go forward a decade or 2 decades. You pick your lifespan. And let's envision how it feels to be part of a future where we've nipped this thing in the bud that it is right now. How does it feel? We've figured out how to get carbon dioxide out of the air. So we've opened the drain. We figured out how to cut the incoming carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. We figured it out. We are collaborating. And if you think about it, if COP27 was a disappointment, it still had 196 countries. Wow. I can't even agree on politics with my next door neighbor. Imagine 196 countries. So how does it feel to envision that future? What would you love about it? And please take a full minute. So a couple of words. How do you feel? You're a part of it. Julie, one word. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, happy, right? Yeah, I felt proud that I could talk to you and have you take this conversation and bring it wider. Helen, how do you feel? So you are appreciating the collaboration that this emergency created for us. One more person. Thank you. Absolutely. Exactly. We can do this, friends. We can. So I'd like to close with something. Oh, yes. Thank you.
Every day on page 6.
I love that idea. I love that idea. Could be part of that. Julie. Okay, so you're seeing ways to incorporate this daily. Did we have any Zoom room comments?
One person asked, I want to learn more about what I can do as an individual.
Fabulous. So we've got actions already bubbling up. Thank you. Great. I've got a treat for you to close us out. Thank you all for being a fabulous audience. And thank you. So I'll hang around for questions if you've got any.